Здравствуйте! Меня зовут Fiona Kyle, и я младший зафлит русской ферми тролли. And that is all the Russian you will be hearing today in today's prologue or the show, I promise you. As I said in Russian, welcome, my name is Fiona Kyle, and I'm the associate dramaturg on this production of Russian Troll Farm by Sarah Gancher. I wanted to start off with something of a joke because I have been tasked to ensure that you are all very aware that this is a comedy. Because I mean, what could be funnier than a foreign power interfering in your democratic elections, right? But in all seriousness, this is a comedy in the same vein as The Office, Parks and Rec, or even Sports Night and The West Wing. There are office hijinks, romances, petty fights, and alliances. They're all here in Russian Troll Farm, along with dialogue that is as witty as anything written by Tina Fey or Aaron Sorkin, but with Sarah Gancher's own darkly clever and political spin. But, as Sarah Gancher says about this play, just like The Office is not about paper, this play is not about politics. So what is it about? Show of hands, who here uses social media, any form? Great, a good amount of them. I tend to use it to keep in touch with friends and families, and also to look at cute pictures of cats online. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to share about how they use social media? Anyone else love looking at cat pictures or recipes? Great. Can anyone define an internet troll by any chance? So a troll can be someone who starts flame wars, typically in a comment section on videos or news articles, blog posts, by saying inflammatory things to the original poster or other commenters. Those kinds of trolls are lone wolves acting to steal from hackers for the lols, or for their own amusement. But trolls, as you'll see today in Russian Troll Farm, can also be paid operatives working to target folks on social media in order to influence their views. They do this in myriad ways, such as posting from egg accounts, which are new accounts on Twitter, impersonating celebrities or political pundits, or by gaining a following by posing as a regular person just like you or me in order to gain people's trust. You can read more in the program that you'll get before the show for Russian Troll Farm about the Internet Research Agency, where our trolls work. But to briefly summarize, Russian oligarch Yevgeny Prigozhin, one of Putin's closest advisors, whose name has been in the news very recently because he's also the founder of the Wagner Group, the paramilitary organization that's been fighting on Russia's side in the war with Ukraine. Prigozhin founded the Internet Research Agency in St. Petersburg in 2013. Petersburg was also formerly known as Leningrad during the Soviet era. The people employed by the IRA work to spread misinformation online at home in Russia and throughout the world. Their first target was Ukraine in 2013, prior to the invasion and eventual annexation of the Crimea. Then they set their sights on the United States by fomenting debate online during the lead-up to the 2016 presidential election. The IRA spreads information online via, you guessed it, social media. They used every single platform that they could reach to reach American voters. And many people think that the trolls went away after 2016's election, but they are actually still very hard at work promoting President Putin's and the Kremlin's views and spreading misinformation regarding the war with Ukraine. Have any of you, just show of hands, ever interacted with a troll online? Great. Sure, there's also a lobby display to know how to spot trolls outside if you're interested. But I know I definitely saw some troll posts online during that election, but I actually still see the impact the trolls are making right now. Many people I respect on social media are buying into Russian-generated troll posts about the war with Ukraine and saying that President Zelensky is a neo-fascist. And I think it's really important to note that even if you haven't seen a post by one of these trolls, some other people who you are friends with on social media or in person have seen these posts and may be influenced by them. So, why would Russia endeavor to interfere in the 2016 US election? Big question, right? Obviously, there are many theories as to why President Putin would want to do this. One of the biggest ones is related actually to the 2011 Russian presidential election. Many people believe that election was rigged in favor of President Putin. Our then Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, was one of the foremost proponents of that theory on the international stage. Putin believed that Clinton, along with the US State Department, gave a signal to the Russian people to stage widespread protests in his country, and he has held a grudge against her ever since. Hillary Clinton is also a strong supporter of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and a strong NATO is always a threat to Russia. And right now, NATO has imposed sanctions against them for the war in Ukraine. Another theory for Russia's interference in the election is that Putin wanted somebody sympathetic in the White House, or simply someone who would stay out of his way in order for him to eventually advance into Ukrainian soil, which he considers to be part of Russia. So now that you have all of this background, how does one make a play out of such a complicated topic such as this? So playwright Sarah Gancher, during the 2016 elections, started to notice weird things on her social media feeds, such as people she knew who were supporting Hillary Clinton's campaign, liking Donald Trump on Facebook, and she kept getting a recommendation for the Heart of Texas page on Facebook, even though she lived in New York City. So she learned about the Internet Research Agency, and she continued that research after the election was over. She read Cyber War, How Russian Hackers and Trolls Helped Elect a President, What We Don't, Can't, and Do Know by Kathleen Hall Jamieson, and she found swaths of real Russian troll tweets online and realized, oh my God, these people are playwrights. I bet I would actually be good at this job. So she did what any playwright worth their salt does in that situation. She sat down to write a play. And she said as she started working on it, she became absolutely obsessed with all of the resources, the characters, etc., and you'll see that in the writing today. So the play received several readings at New Dramatists, a playwriting incubator in New York City in 2019, and she was hoping to get a full production in 2020, as you'll guess. The COVID-19 pandemic squashed that plan, but she felt it was truly urgent to get this play out into the world in 2020, as it was, as you'll remember, again, a presidential election year. So that's where our artistic director, Elizabeth Williamson, and multimedia designer Jared Mizzachi came in as co-directors. They decided to do the production on Zoom. So the three of them, with TheatreWorks Hartford, Theatre Squared, and in association with the civilians, hacked into Zoom to create an almost three-dimensional production online. That online developmental production was a New York Times critics pick and on their Best of 2020 theater list. And even just a few weeks ago, Sarah Gancher, Elizabeth Williamson, and Jared Mizzachi all received a special Citation Obie Award for a digital, virtual, and hybrid production. So that brilliant trio came together for this on-stage world premiere of Russian Troll Farm, with Elizabeth now as the dramaturg and Jared as multimedia and projections designer. And they brought on a huge host of incredible collaborators with them. So before she was the artistic director at Geva, Elizabeth Williamson was the associate artistic director at Hartford Stage, where Darko Tresnjak was the former artistic director. Darko, a Tony Award-winning director for A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, and also known for Anastasia on Broadway, was born in Yugoslavia, and he brought his own memories of growing up in a former communist state to the production. But Darko's not the only Tony Award winner in this production. Our incredible costume designer, Lyndon Cho, also won a Tony Award for her work on Gentleman's Guide, and the wonderful sound designer, Darren L. West, won for his work on the play Peter and the Starcatcher. The rest of our creative team has been nominated for Tony Awards, Obies, and every other award under the sun, and also includes a frequent collaborator of Darko's, Alexander Dodge, as scenic designer, and a newcomer to Darko's team, but not a newcomer in the industry, Marcus Doshi as our incredible, incredible lighting designer. And then in the cast, we have a sort of group of people who have been involved with Russian Troll Farm from early days, with Renata Friedman, who was in a workshop at New Dramatist, and Haskell King, who was also in the online developmental production. And then most of the cast, aside from Chris Ghaffari and Julia Brothers, were in a workshop that we did a few months ago. And Julia Brothers is a newcomer to Russian Troll Farm, but not a newcomer to Geva, as she was in Women in Jeopardy. So it's a really nice sort of collaboration of people familiar with Geva, familiar with Darko and Elizabeth, and Jared and Sarah. And so before I open this up to questions, I want to share a bit of text that was actually in the original version of the prologue for Russian Troll Farm, because it felt appropriate to give a prologue with some prologue in it. So I want you to consider the text of this as you watch the show today. But what of the trolls themselves? Those who crept the marketplace in disguise, who went by fake names, echoed empty opinions. What were they really thinking? What did they truly believe? Did they find meaning in their work? Or did they lie as a fly buzzes, as a cat scratches, unthinking? That's what I have for this evening, but I wonder if any of you have any questions. It is also okay if you don't. Great, thank you so much. And if you would, yes, right here, please.
Is this the first live production?
This is not the first live production. There was another developmental production at the Forward Theater in Wisconsin sometime last year. I don't remember those exact dates. But this is the official world premiere with the playwright involved and with this creative team. Yes, back there and then there.
Are there plans to go on the road with it now?
Are there plans to go on the road with it? I think there are some dreams. We do have an incredible producer on board with Dori Berinstein, and there are hopes that there will be a future for this play after Geva, yes.
That was my question.
That was your
On
question?
Broadway.
Absolutely. We'll find out. Keep your eyes peeled on social media and online. Thank you all so much, and if you wouldn't mind clearing the theater so we can do some finishing work for prep. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all today.